Hey everybody, welcome back to This Ohio Farmhouse. I thought I'd give you an update on a project I started about a month ago to put some chicken tunnels in back here so I could protect my chickens. We have a lot of aerial predators here, and in the past I've lost a number of birds to hawks and so forth. So I created these chicken tunnels. There's some videos that I can link to show you how I built these, but these are in place. And then in here what I wanted to update on is just to show you the forage area back here. This was a forage blend that I planted that I bought just for chickens. It has a lot of legumes, different beans and peas, and I think 3 different kinds of clover and flax all mixed in. And I've let them out here for a couple days, and I give them a break on it because they just tear it up when they scratch. But this way they'll have access to fresh forage. So I had a lot of little holes I had to get kind of tightened up in here, but I went through and you just kind of watch them. These chickens are cunning little boogers. If they like to poke around and investigate, and anytime they see like a little opening that they can exploit, they'll wiggle their way through. And they're a lot smaller than what you think. They get their feathers fluffy and you think, oh, they can't get through there. Little openings like down in here, they started to push this out, so I wired this all back in. But this is the first paddock area here, and you can see that I've got a little pop door in here, so I can open and close that to restrict when they go in. And I kind of redid my netting up here from aerial attacks. And then down here is my second run, and this didn't used to really be a run. This was kind of an entrance, but I planted that forage blend in here too. And it doesn't do tremendous in here because there's just a lot of shade in this area. You can see up here behind me, got a big maple tree here and another big maple tree here, back here. But it's the best I can do for right now. Whew, getting spider webs out here. It's getting late summer, and spiders on these cool nights, they start setting up their webs, and I'm walking into them here. Excuse me. So anyway, we're going to do that. So I wanted to just show you the update on that. But then the other thing I wanted to talk about is kind of the ongoing process, I guess, or research on trying to be more self-sufficient with keeping my laying hens, not meat birds, but just laying hens. And it started out just trying to cut my feed costs because what the hens eat goes into their eggs, and then we ultimately eat it. So we try to feed, we feed at minimum non-GMO, and sometimes if we can afford it, we'll have actual certified organic, but at least non-GMO. And it gets expensive. So I was trying to do different experiments to keep our food costs as low as possible. And so we soak our grain. I buy a whole grain non-GMO blend. We soak it overnight, like for 24 hours to release more nutrients, to get it, a lot more full, so the chickens feel more full. I put the forage, the paddocks out here. That's why we do that. But I've kind of moved beyond that, and I want to go not just to lower my food costs, but to be more sustainable. If we're ever in a supply chain crunch like we've experienced here in the last year with COVID, and you see the different vulnerabilities of how our supply chains can be shut down, or if you lose your job, for example, because of various issues that are out of your control with pandemics and so forth, or government policies, you might not be able to buy seed or buy feed. So what I want to do is try to do everything I can to just eliminate feeding my chickens with store-bought grains. And so there's not a whole lot out there online for that, and a lot of people would recommend against it. The only thing I have found online is some examples of people that have fed their laying hens using compost piles. There's a lot of videos out there from very famous YouTubers who have traveled to the New England area and have met with a gentleman by the name of Carl Hammer, I believe is his name. And he runs a massive compost business. And because he's got like literally tons and tons and tons of compost, he also is able to let his laying hens free range and just do what chickens do and scratch and go through the compost and You know, they get restaurant compost, lettuce, and, you know, food trimmings and stuff, and table scraps, and the chickens all go through that. But he's able to feed hundreds of chickens with that. Anyway, this Carl Hammer is able to not use any grains and feed his chickens with anything he has to buy, because he has so many inputs on a massive level with his compost. So I am going to try to do that and scale it down. Let's go into the chicken coop here. So he's got hundreds of chickens. I've got like 16 chickens, and I'm probably going to get that smaller, because I think that's also part of the equation. You know, I've got this pen area here, and it's plenty big for them. Plus I've got the 2 runs where they can go and forage. But what I think I'm going to do, I started to do this in this area, is put compost in here and let the chickens, you know, eat the insects and the leaves and so forth, the bugs that come in here as a result of breaking that down. And I have to say, I did not expect, or I greatly underestimated the amount of compost, the volume of it you need to make that work. And so on the back end, if I can get rid of my chickens and not have so many, because really 16 hens is too much for my family. You know, we have an abundance of eggs, which is nice because we're giving them away. But if I can, you know, realistically, if we had just 4 or 5 hens, that's enough for our family on a consistent, you know, weekly basis to eat eggs. And so I am just going to fill this with as much compost debris as I can. We're heading into the fall, so I'm going to get all the leaves I can. Last year, you can see in the video, I even went into the nearby town and got leaves on leaf collection day, and I had leaves in here just piled. You look in here now, it doesn't look like I put a single leaf in here. So I'm sure that if I dig down underneath here, and maybe we'll do that here in a little bit, there'll be some compost, but I'm just going to have to mound this, because Carl Hammer's just got massive, like huge piles that he runs bulldozers and stuff on, so, or bobcats and stuff. So I need to do this. My idea then is I just want to copy what they do, but scale it down. And so that's going to be my experiment for the next, you know, next year. We're going to see how that goes. So in an effort to build that compost heap up, we're going to start throwing everything we can in there, because I am not going to be getting scraps from restaurants, and I'm not a commercial compost. So I'm going to do everything I can on my homestead just to build that compost pile up. So all along our fence here, we get a ton of weeds that grow in. We have mulberry trees. The birds eat the mulberries. They come sit on the fence and they poop out the seeds. And then we've got tons of mulberry trees and weeds that came through here. So I just recently got a big gas trimmer with a saw blade on it for small trees and brush. And you can see back here, I just cleaned all this area out by the wood pile. And I'll stick the camera out here and you can see all this. Basically all the way down this line. And so I'm gonna grab all these trees, all these weeds. I'll make sure there's no noxious, poisonous weeds in there. And we're just gonna throw everything in that compost pile. And then when I start getting some grass clippings and leaves from town, we're just gonna keep building that up and building that up. And I'll keep you posted, because I think this could be a way, if this works, that you could actually be sustainable with chickens. Because right now it's not sustainable. You know, it's, even unless you live on a full scale like grain farm and you grow your own wheat and you've got barley or oats and corn, and you know, you have all these inputs you have to buy. And if you ever, you know, we live in an area, if the economy broke down and kind of things broke loose and things went crazy, you can't get feed. You can't even buy the components to feed your chickens. And we only live on an acre, and there's no way for us it's practical to grow, you know, that much grain and to do that ourselves. So this is the only way I can think of to let chickens be chickens, naturally eat what they want to eat, You know, I can supplement with kitchen scraps and scraps from the garden, but I'm gonna have to see how much I can rely on this compost heap. So we're gonna have to feed the heap and see what we can do. And we'll keep you posted, because I think this could be a real game changer for homestead backyard chickens. All right, so we'll record some video and we'll see how big we can get this pile, and I'll check in with you here in a little bit. So to build our compost pile some more, we're across the street over in our garden area. And then behind me is this big area I've talked about before that we just constantly battle the weeds on it. And so anyway, all of this is going to be good material to put in our compost pile. So we invested in a nice big string trimmer with, I've got a saw head on it, a cutting head here. And I got to tell you, this is awesome. I'll never go back to plastic string line again. So anyway, we're gonna go through and cut this, and this will be really good for the compost pile. Look how big some of these stalks are on these sunflowers. I mean, this is like a tree. Loaded up.
Okay. How much?
All right, we're here in the chicken coop. I got the gate I'm going to open, and Joanna can just wheel it right on in.
You're gonna love this.
It's like
Guys, we got more to come.
Look at this nice salad. You got tomatoes, sunflowers.
They're not sure here.
Oh, they can't resist coming in to explore.
Give them something to do for a few hours.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're not done. It's quite a bit of debris. So Joanna and I are going to take probably the next couple days and just keep bringing wheelbarrows of material over, and we're going to build this up. It's already, I'm surprised at how much we've got in here, but this will all break down pretty quick. And so I'll probably try to get some wood chips as well, you know, for some carbon to offset all this nitrogen. Brown and greens, you got to mix them. But I'm going to let the chickens be chickens and peck through this and scratch and shred and look for bugs and earthworms and all that good stuff. And we're going to see if we can do this. This will be a very good experiment to try to do this on a small scale. Because if you are a homesteader and you're trying to be more self-sufficient and have your homestead be sustainable, there's no way that you're going to be able to keep your backyard flock of either meat birds or laying hens alive if there's some catastrophic event with our economy or our nation, because you just simply won't be able to go to stores and buy nice bags of food, and you certainly can't grow enough grain. So this is an experiment in sustainability. Follow along, we'll see how it turns out. Like I said, realistically, I'm just going to see how many hens I can support with our property on 1 acre. I certainly don't need as many as I have now, but we'll see what we can do. So thanks for watching This Ohio Farmhouse. I wish you the best of luck on your homestead, and I hope your family is well. Take care, and we'll see you next time.